This is a mixer grinder or a blender, whatever you might want to call it. Now, this is a non living thing, an inanimate object, and art might seem impractical and intangible at first when idea is in your brain. But once the execution is complete, it somehow brings that cohesiveness and practicality into the whole scenario. Now, that is exactly what is going to happen today because I'm going to use this mixer grinder, this blender, as my subject for the next character design. So, hello there, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Indelibius here, and I bring for you another character design session. This time, we use an inanimate object as our subject. So, starting off, the first thing which I'm going to do is create a rough sketch. Now, since this is a blender or a mixer grinder, the first idea which came to my mind that I should make it into sort of a robotic character. And for that, what we need is two hands and two legs to be exact, and an eye. Why a single eye? Well, I wanted to make it look like a cyborg. So that is the reason why I went with one eye. And anyways, if you want to include two eyes into the picture, sometimes the design might get a bit odd, a bit busy. And that is the reason I didn't want to make two eyes for this. And I just went with the single eye, which looks sort of like a camera lens through which this robot is able to look. Now for the name, I'm naming this little guy Mix R. Yeah, I don't know how well the name goes with his character, but yeah, I feel it's a good one. So, going back to the character design, let me give you some insights into how I decide how I'm going to make these characters. I had created one such character called RV, the radio bot, quite a while back, who is actually a very vintage radio converted into sort of a robot. Now, the thing with these robotic characters is that their joints, the way their limbs will function, is pretty unconventional as compared to human beings. I mean, it's similar, but instead of being made of skin and bones, it is made up of springs and metallic parts. Now, there is a sort of this rigidity which comes with these types of parts. Obviously, if it's metallic and there are springs and different types of gears involved, your character is not going to be as much flexible as a living thing, a living creature would have been. So you need to keep that in mind when you are posing your character, when you are drawing your character in different poses. This especially comes into play with these robotic type of characters. Now, home appliances, I feel, create a very good set of reference images for your character designs. And this is only one in series which I'm planning to make for different character designs using these home appliances. So I may make the next one using a toaster or an electric drill or an air fryer. You never know what is coming next. So stay tuned for the next video, and you can only do that if you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. Okay, now back to the character design. Once I am happy with the rough sketch, what I do is I create a line work. Creating the outline for these types of character designs, I don't really pay much close attention. I mean, it is not a very detailed illustration that I'm aiming for. It is just this fun character design session. After creating the line work, I fill in the flat colors and then I proceed for some cell shading work. For character designs, another very important tip is to keep in mind that you are creating a character, a sort of a humanoid figure or a living sort of a creature. Now, this is not obviously classified as living. A robot is not a living thing, but sort of an artificially animated thing. So you need to keep this fact in mind that your character should imbibe some values, sort of some core personality, because you want your character to stand out. I have said this before in one of my prior videos. If you look at the way Tom and Jerry have been developed as characters, or if you think about Mickey Mouse, Goofy, Pluto the dog, Popeye the sailor, these all characters have a very interesting persona. They carry their own types of characteristics and these sort of quirks and features which differentiates them from other characters. It is very often that we look at many character designs online and you will not be able to associate any special value with these characters. Yes, they might look very detailed, they might look very nice, but it is not always that you get to see some distinctive feature which is portrayed through these characters. Now, this is not just applicable for characters which are going into animation, but also these character designs which are not going into animation, the non-animated stills, comic book characters, everything plays a very important role into how your character looks, feels, and behaves. Now for Mixar here, what I really thought would be interesting is to have some sort of this blended liquid inside that grinder jar. Now what happens if he moves? If I make a future design using Mixar in my composition, what I can do is there is this dynamic feature to him now. There is this fluid inside him which will move around, slosh and splash around as he is moving. And the lid of this blender, it acts as sort of his cap, and there is this radio signal transmitting antenna on top of it. So he's just doing this gesture of showing a gentleman gesture of taking off his hat and waving it as a sign of respect to any passerby. And that sort of gives him this feel, this vibe that there is a dynamic nature to his character. Like fluid sloshing around, all these things, they make him stand out. Now, this is not always true that you need some dynamics in your character. Sometimes your character can be very bland, can be very basic, and that might be the core of it. Like you want to portray that this character like doesn't give two pennies about what happens around him or her and is not really affected by the things going on around it, and it can become a unique feature for that character. So this is what you want to sort of imbibe in your characters, that they have this sort of a unique persona which brings a cohesiveness in your character design. Obviously the apparel which a character wears, the type of mechanisms of movement which you give to it. I mean, look at Wall-E, for example. Wall-E has these caterpillar type Wall-E has these sort of treads which bulldozers have, and he is able to use these treads for movement. He doesn't have legs, and that separates him from many other types of robotic characters we have seen. Evie, for example, from the same movie, she is able to hover over the ground. So the mode of locomotion for both these robots is pretty different, and it becomes an integral part of their character. And just like I said, you don't really need much details in your characters. If you want sort of an example about this, you can look at the character design of Oswald. For example, Oswald's character design is very, very basic, I would say. He just wears this tiny hat, he's an octopus, and he has this huge head, he's blue in color and has very expressive eyes. And the whole art style which Oswald is made in and the world around him, it is already very soft and friendly towards the type of audience it is targeting. And that brings us to the next important point. What type of audience are you wishing to target through your character designs? If it is a younger sort of audience, then obviously they are more into the type of active and happy and joyous character designs. Yes, as you grow older, as you approach the teenage years of your life, you're more into these boys, especially they are more into these action type of novels and characters, and that is the time when they explore these medieval type of warrior stuff or the super soldier stuff. And that is the time when the character design preferences for an artist who is targeting this type of an audience should change. But if you're targeting a younger audience, it is sort of these softer designs, these more happy designs which appeal to them, which is more attractive to them. Now similarly, if you're looking towards an audience which is female oriented, a female audience, then they will have different preferences. And these are the things which you need to keep in mind when you are developing your characters. So like I said, this is going to be a series where I create these robotic mechanical characters out of simple everyday objects, simple everyday household appliances and objects which we use daily, which we use often, but we never really pay attention what might happen if these came to life. And obviously these characters can be used later on in different types of compositions. So as I finish off this design, I would like to show you a glimpse of RB Radio Bot, which I created quite a while back, and just look at the cohesiveness which these two characters bring to the table. And obviously this gives me an opportunity to develop upon this even more and create a series of these whole characters which can be put together in a single composition. So don't forget to let me know what you think about this character design as well as RB and this whole concept of creating these other character character designs by putting down your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay creative, stay safe, and peace.